Hey gang, Dr. G, Imaginarium. It's Sunday, so it's time for Mysteries of the Psyche. Got an interesting one for you here. It's in the journal Nature and Human Behavior, 2019 article by Turnwald et al. So this one is looking at the effects of your own personal beliefs on your physiology. And in this one here, they looked at the genome. Now, a lot of people are taking their genetic testing these days to take a look at what medications might affect them one way, see if they're vulnerable to this or that illness, and so forth and so on. But I'm here to tell you that the genome itself is a very powerful symbol. It's a symbol of one's essence. There's a whole lot of emotional and psychological power in that symbol. And to think of it as a so-called objective, i.e., completely separated from one's subjective experience, entity that affects physiology independent of what you think about it is a mistake. Let me say that more simply. What you think about your health affects your health. Now, we already kind of know that because we've heard that in placebo studies and nocebo studies and so forth. But check this study out here. What they did is they had two groups of people and they had two experiments. One, they were looking at your ability to withstand exercise and your cardiovascular health. And the other one, they were measuring your satiety levels after you ate. In other words, they were having you eat food and then you measure, how full you feel after eating a certain amount of food, so forth. And they also measured some blood values. And what they did is they had all of the people studied, over 100, go through these various exercises and eat food, and they lab levels and so forth. But they randomly assigned them to groups. In one group, they told them that after checking their genes, that they were at high risk for obesity and poor exercise tolerance. Whereas they told the other group that they were in the protected category, that their genes had some protective effect on their health in both of these areas, both the exercise and the eating areas. So then they had them go through these various exercises. They had them do a cardiovascular exercise, running endurance test, and they measured. Now, here's the interesting thing: they not only measured their subjective experience of the test itself, but they measured in the cardiovascular experiment. They measured their CO2 and O2 gas exchange levels. And in the food one, they measured their glucagon-like peptide levels. So it's a hormone that tells you that you're full. Now, okay, that's all well and good. But here's the fun thing. Now, they actually did do genetic testing on these individuals, and there are certain markers that appear to be protective versus at risk in these various domains. But what they found was that what you believed about it, what you were told about it, and in other words, what a group you were assigned to, whether it was so-called high risk or so-called protective, had more of effect on their risk than their actual genetic risk did. Okay, so let me say that again. It was whether or not you were told that you were in the high risk group that affected not only the physiological variables that they measured, but your subjective experience of these tests, whether or not you had a hard time with the running or whether or not you didn't feel full after you ate the food, and so forth, and the corresponding physiological variables, the gas exchange rates and the glucagon peptide like levels, GLP levels. So that had more effect on those levels and your subjective experience than your actual genetic profile did. So isn't that interesting? The researchers here concluded that simply conveying genetic risk information actually seemed to alter the risk to a higher degree than their actual genetic risk was. Okay, so if you ask me, this is kind of like you doing the Jedi mind trick on somebody, right? You are at high risk. I'm at high risk, and then it actually affects their whole body. Okay, so but a long story short about this is that symbols and ideas and the psyche matter. you can't just think of the genome as this independent player that's objective and existing outside the psyche and affecting your body in a way that is not touched by what's going on in your mind. They are one. Psyche and body are one. And that's really kind of the bottom line of this. So that's what I got for you today on our Mysteries of the Psyche, and plenty more to come. Catch you next time.